Did you know you don't necessarily need stakes to anchor your freedom stand? Let's talk about the possibilities. This particular campground does not allow hanging hammocks from trees, so we were happy to have our freedom stands with us. We could have anchored them into the ground by pounding stakes in, but there were so many great objects for anchoring here that we knew we didn't even need to mess with that. First, we chose this picnic table. Cal just tested to make sure that he couldn't move it with his body weight, which is an important thing to do when you're choosing your objects to anchor from. He's taking the two lines that come out of the Freedom Hub and using a carabiner to hook them together. If you're good at tying knots, you could do that without the carabiner. We just find this a little bit easier. Looping it around the leg of the picnic table. And just like that, one side is done. Now he's grabbing his other freedom stand for the other side. For this side's anchor, we chose a big boulder that's very firmly on the ground and unable to be moved. And he's looping one of those anchor lines around, clipping it to the other one with the carabiner. Then he's going to stand it up and make all the final adjustments, make sure the alignment checks out. The legs of both freedom stands should be square to each other. You should also be able to draw a line from one anchor through both freedom stands directly to the other anchor. Now it's time to sit slowly in your hammock to check your work. Make sure you did a good job before you relax. If you did your due diligence up front and tested the strength and solidity of your anchor objects, then this should be a success. Let's check out that alignment one more time. So there's a straight line from this anchor through the first freedom stand to the second freedom stand and all the way to the anchor on the other side. It should be one straight line from a bird's eye view. Now let's talk about some other options for anchoring without stakes. We decided to use the tire of our vehicle. Cal's looping a tree strap around. You don't have to use a tree strap. You could loop the anchor lines around like we did with the first two objects we showed you. This is just another way to do things. We like to give you guys lots of options. So he's making sure that's tight and that it's pointing the direction of the freedom stand. And because he used the tree strap, he has a little more length to work with, and he can pick the exact spot that he wants to clip that carabiner on. And that side's done. Now, because he moved one of his anchor points, he has to come and realign both sides of the stand. So make sure the legs are squared up. Again, you should be able to draw a straight line through both stands all the way from anchor to anchor. I want to take a second to point out here that anchoring on fixed objects like this is a huge benefit to using a bipod hammock stand. Because you have two legs on each side, you only need to draw your anchor lines back to one anchor point. This will drastically increase your versatility as well as ensure your setup is strong and solid. Another option to consider is one of these big bushy tree things. Obviously you couldn't hang a hammock from it because the branches are too flimsy. However, they do have a very strong root system. If you don't mind bushwhacking a little bit, you can see Cal's crawling deep in there to wrap a tree strap around 2 or 3 of those stems. We do like to use a tree strap because we don't want to cause any harm to the plant, and the tree straps are just nice and gentle on them. And he can bring his stand over and hook it up just like he did to the tire. So we've showed you a picnic table, a tire, a boulder, a big bush. Hopefully you guys are getting the idea that anything heavy or firmly in the ground would make a great anchor. Now let's check out the rest of this campsite and look at other possibilities. These skinny trees wouldn't work for hanging a hammock, but you could use the freedom stand and anchor around the base of the trunk. Back in here, we found a good stump that you could tie your anchor lines around. There are a lot of bushy shrubs around here which work great as long as you check to make sure that they're firmly in the ground with a good root system and that you're not going to be able to cause any damage to the plant. This fallen tree is heavy and we tried to move it and we couldn't, so that would work great also. Side note, never hang your hammock from a dead tree that's still standing, but if they're on the ground, they'd make a great anchor. So we hope this video has inspired you to be creative with your freedom stand. We love seeing your pictures and videos of your setups, so feel free to keep sending them. We'll see you next time.